Alright, what's up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you with SummerSlam 1989. It's WWE Network review time, baby. We're all fired up here. Basically, I've been trying to watch some SummerSlams and knock out some reviews, getting ready, getting all pumped up. Bought my ticket to fly down to LA for the big SummerSlam. Sort of sucks there's no access this year. But, it is what it is. We're going to see Cena versus Brock Lesnar. It's going to be a big one, daddy. And it just reminds me, back when I was a kid, SummerSlam 1989 was the big one. You can easily go and watch this show and notice right from the bat that it is a promotional tool to basically push Vince McMahon's movie with Hulk Hogan, No Holds Barred. That was released in early June of 1989. So basically they brought Zeus in to play his character from the movie and act like he wanted revenge. Like, you know, in the movie, I didn't get to go over. They spoiled it for you. Right off the bat, they tell you Zeus doesn't win in the movie, but he's going to win in real life, and that's why we all wanted to see SummerSlam 1989. Basically, Zeus made his debut on Saturday night's main event. Hulk Hogan was booked in a cage match against the Big Boss Man for the WWF Championship, and right before the match, Zeus appeared on the ring steps as Hulk Hogan was coming down to the ring and basically attacked Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was not big enough, he was not strong enough to fight off Zeus, as basically he just hammered down on Hulk Hogan from above him. They had him up on the ring steps, which when Hulk Hogan came up to him, made Zeus look like he was 10 feet tall, pounding down on Hulk Hogan and basically beating him up before, you know, Hogan had to go into the cage match. This was one of my favorite matches when I was a kid. Basically, it came on one of the Hulkamania tapes. It was Hulk Hogan versus Big Boss Man in the steel cage. And Hogan, even though he was attacked by Zeus before, it was able to fight off the Boss Man and able to find a win in this match. That would lead us to Zeus attacking Brutus Beefcake before SummerSlam, and that's what built the whole thing together. Hogan and his best friend Beefcake going up against Zeus and the Macho Man, two of the guys that Hulk Hogan was feuding with big time. Of course, you know, you could go back to Hogan beating the Macho Man at WrestleMania 5 when the Mega Powers explode. You know, Macho Man had sort of gone into the wacky land, and he was calling himself the Macho King at this time with his queen, Sensational Sherry, and they had sort of, you know, made some sort of a group together where they were out to destroy Hulkamania. So SummerSlam 1989, you have Hogan going in there. Beefcake was a star, but it was easy to see that Beefcake, you know, really didn't have, you know, what was needed to get the job done. This was an awesome, you know, big time style of match. You could easily see that they were making Zeus out to be a big deal. Everybody would know that, you know, well, I guess not everybody would know unless you knew, but in Zeus's shoot interview and Zeus's interviews you can find around the internet, the story at this time was to make No Holds Barred a really, really big deal. They wanted people to go out to the movies to see it. They wanted people to buy it on VHS. They wanted, you know, there to be an easy transition for Vince McMahon to get into the movie business. As everybody knows, it didn't really go that well. And it took a long time for Vince McMahon to back another movie. Of course, everybody knows the WWE Films franchise that's going, I was going to say going strong, but I don't know if it's really that much. But in this, they made Zeus out to be, you know, a big deal. It wasn't like they just got him into a match and they were like, all right, let's have Hogan beat him and then it's over with. The plan was to get Zeus to headline with Hogan at SummerSlam Survivor Series and get him all the way to WrestleMania and do the one-on-one big deal. Somewhere along the way, they pulled out on that, and it ended up being Hogan versus Warrior, WrestleMania 6. Easily one of the biggest WrestleManias to date at that time. Actually, you look at the undercard. The undercard's not great. Hogan versus Warrior was one of the biggest matches I had seen as a kid. It was almost related to as when I went and saw Cena versus Rock. I mean, it was to that proportions. Two baby faces going in there. The Intercontinental Champion, which was a huge deal in 1990, going up against your WWF champion. So, kind of good thing that they pulled the plug on it, but who knows what it would have been like if it would have gone all the way to one-on-one Hulk Hogan versus Zeus there. But in this match, basically it's just, you know, Zeus just beating down on Hogan, and every time you keep seeing that Hogan's going to, prevail in this. Just Zeus finds that extra power to just beat him down. Before this match debuted, basically to sort of, slam up high into Macho Man's face. The ring announcer announces that Miss Elizabeth is making her way down to ringside, and she's going to be in Hulk Hogan and Beefcake's corner, as the manager, cheering them on. Of course, Hogan, I guess, won Miss Elizabeth, at WrestleMania 5. Macho Man went, full on heel after that, joining up with Sherry, just sort of saying that there's no joke in everybody's mind. Basically, I don't know if it was up to Macho Man, but Miss Elizabeth was basically getting phased out, even though she was one of the biggest stars in WWF at this time. I don't know if that was something that Macho Man wanted to do, but it all came down to it that the Macho Man wanted to cheat with Sensational Sherry. Sherry, had thrown her shoe in the ring, and then she was trying to hit Hulk Hogan with her loaded purse with the brick inside of it. And basically, she got in the ring to break up the 3 count as Hogan was pinning the Macho Man. And she stood over Hulk Hogan like this for like 3 seconds. She could have hit him and broke up the pin at any time. Basically, she just sort of... she miscued when she was supposed to jump in the ring. Best thing about it is that Sherry's got a weave in, and the thing falls off about halfway through, and as she's running around the ring, the thing's hanging on by a thread on the back of her head, and it's just funny. You can see her stocking cap and her real hair all tied back. Great stuff here. As the match ends, of course, Hogan, is about to fight off Sherry because she was about to hit him with the loaded purse. So basically, he grabs a hold of Sherry. Miss Elizabeth picks up the loaded purse and knocks out Sherry, and she looks like the big winner. Zeus, of course, would stay with WWF. He'd make it to the Survivor Series of 1989. He did promotional work, looking like he was going to be in the Royal Rumble somewhere along the way. They must have got the idea for Warrior and Hogan because Warrior and Hogan had the big stare-off in the middle of the Royal Rumble, and they must have known how big that whole deal was going to be. And we never saw Zeus again until he came into WCW. Really good undercard on here. Brainbusters and the Hart Foundation. Hart Foundation are looking like they're going to pull out a win before Bobby Heenan, causes a whole bunch of... he grabs a hold of the referee. Arn Anderson, who's not even the legal man, breaks up the pin with Bret Hart with a double arm axe handle off the top rope, which is enough to pin Bret Hart, even though he's not the legal man. Dusty Rhodes and Honky Tonk Man had a good, entertaining match, basically where Honky Tonk Man was doing everything he could do to cheat in this match with grabbing Jimmy Hart's megaphone and hitting Dusty Rhodes in the gut. And then as the match went on, there was another time when the referee went down, and Honky Tonk Man was holding Dusty Rhodes as Jimmy Hart brought Honky Tonk Man's guitar into the ring. Dusty Rhodes ducked. Jimmy Hart hit the Honky Tonk Man, and Dusty Rhodes was able to get the bionic elbow. Boom! Always fun to do that on here. And when he did that, he was able to pin Honky Tonk Man. Honky Tonk Man had an interview as he was walking up the ramp after he lost the match. And basically, he thought he was Elvis, where he was asking where the stage was. Pretty entertaining stuff there for you. An awesome match where two guys really don't do a whole lot of anything in a real short match. Only 3 minutes. Mr. Perfect going up against the Red Rooster. It's pretty much Mr. Perfect just taking Red Rooster to school before he hits the big drop kick, followed by the Perfect Plex for the big win. There's a match here. Rick Martel and the Fabulous Russos going up against Tito Santana and the Rockers. 15-minute match. I can honestly say to you, I don't even remember that match. So I don't know what happens in there. It couldn't have been that great if I don't remember it a night later. Ultimate Warrior defeated Rick Rude to get his Intercontinental Championship back. This was a really big deal of a match. Basically, Rick Rude had cheated with Bobby Heenan to beat Warrior at WrestleMania 5. And since then, Warrior was on a path in order to get his championship back, where he just kept on trying to upstage basically everything that Rick Rude was doing. They show a whole full-on of montages from every show with Warrior doing run-ins and attacking Rude. And basically in this match, they're going back and forth. They're going at it. It's good action. It's really, really good. And then Roddy Piper, who I don't even know how he fits into this feud, makes his way down to ringside. He pulls up his kilt and he moons Rick Rude, which causes Rick Rude to start flipping out, jumping up on the top rope, pointing and challenging Roddy Piper to a fight for Ultimate Warrior to come from behind, gain the advantage and pin and get his title back, which causes Rick Rude and it causes Bobby Heenan in the back to have a huge mental breakdown as they're having an interview with Mean Gene, and just basically saying that, Piper wasn't even supposed to be there. He has no business being down there at the ring. He doesn't have a managerial license. He wasn't involved in the match. He needs to go to Tunney and do everything he can do to get the match overturned. From there we went to Jim Duggan and Demolition. Jim Duggan was using the King gimmick at this time. He hadn't lost it to Macho Man yet, and he was teamed up with Demolition. They went up against Andre the Giant and the Twin Towers. Duggan was able to get the pin in this one to win it. It says the Twin Towers, but it also says it's Boss Man and Akeem. Yeah, that's I don't know what I was thinking. My mind went blank right there. But a weird match with Hercules going up against Greg the Hammer Valentine. Ronnie Garvin was the special guest referee at this time. Of course, at this time he was having a feud. He wasn't able to beat Greg the Hammer Valentine as a wrestler. He had been a special guest referee. He wasn't able to help cheat and help defeat Greg the Hammer Valentine. So this time he became a special guest ring announcer at this time. And Greg the Hammer Valentine had a match with Hercules where basically Greg the Hammer Valentine beat Hercules. But then Ronnie Garvin said on the announcing... he basically said that Hercules had won the match via disqualification, which caused Greg the Hammer Valentine to go into an uproar. The referee tried to, tried to get the They tried to get the announcement overturned, which Ronnie Garvin said that he was wrong, and then again said that Hercules had won the match over Greg the Hammer Valentine via disqualification, which made Greg the Hammer Valentine knock Ronnie Garvin out, which doesn't really make any sense to why he would do that. And in the final match, not the final match, because the main event, of course, was Hogan and Beefcake, but the last match we're going to talk about was DiBiase beating Snuka via countout, where basically just DiBiase knocked Snuka out and got back in the ring, number 10, and DiBiase got the big win. So, from there, it was a fun SummerSlam. Definitely not one to really, go out of your way to watch. Definitely SummerSlam 1990, 1991, 1993. Those are better shows, but this was a fun one from my past. Always fun to dig up your childhood on the WWE Network. Peace out, everybody.